crying bear begged a man for help, and then something incredible happened. It was a quiet afternoon in the vast wilderness of Canada, and Sean had just wrapped up a successful day of fishing. The sun was slowly setting on the horizon as he made his way home. To save time, he decided to take a shortcut through the brush, a decision that would change his life forever. Sean had only walked a few meters off the beaten path when he suddenly froze. Just 5 meters ahead of him stood a massive black bear. Her imposing frame loomed threateningly, and her dark eyes were locked directly on him. He could see her nose moving with each breath, a clear sign of her tension. Sean realized he was in a potentially deadly situation. His mind raced. "Stay calm," he repeated to himself. Sean remembered everything he had learned about bear encounters. Slowly, he raised his arms, trying to appear larger and less like prey. He didn't dare break eye contact with the bear. She rose onto her hind legs, her powerful body appearing even more intimidating. But then, something unexpected happened. Instead of attacking, the bear suddenly sat down and began to whimper. The sound was filled with pain and desperation, far from the aggressive roar Sean had feared. Confused, Sean remained frozen, watching the bear. He was ready to retreat, but the heart-wrenching cries made him hesitate. Looking more closely, Sean noticed the bear was injured. Deep gashes ran along her side, and she was limping slightly. Her front paw appeared to be hurt, which could have made her even more dangerous. Yet instead of aggression, she radiated a strange sorrow. Sean thought back to that morning when he had spotted a bear and her cub on the other side of the river. Could this be the same bear? And if so, where was the cub? The thought stuck in his mind. He began to suspect that the bear wanted something from him, and he decided to cautiously follow her. The bear moved slowly through the brush, and Sean kept a respectful distance. After several minutes, they reached the river. The bear stopped, and Sean scanned the area frantically. Suddenly, he saw something in the water, a dark head clinging desperately to a rock. It was the bear cub. The rushing water was pounding against the small animal, and it was clear it couldn't hold on much longer. Sean understood what had happened. The bear had tried to save her cub, but had been injured in the process. Now she had found Sean, her last hope. Without hesitation, Sean began devising a plan to rescue the cub. He knew he had to act quickly before it was too late. Sean felt his heart racing as he scanned the river. The bear cub was in immediate danger, clinging desperately to the rock as the rushing current threatened to pull it under at any moment. He knew he had to act fast, but an impulsive leap into the water could cost both him and the cub their lives. Taking a deep breath to steady his nerves, Sean quickly grabbed his fishing gear and pulled out the rope he usually used for his fish basket. With practiced hands, he tied the rope around his waist, securing the other end tightly to a tree on the riverbank. He let out a long length of rope ahead of him, his only lifeline in this perilous mission. With one last glance at the mother bear, who was pacing anxiously along the shore, Sean plunged into the water. The current seized him with full force, and the icy coldness nearly knocked the breath out of him. But he pushed forward, fighting against the current with every stroke. The slippery rocks beneath his feet made progress even more treacherous. Slowly, Sean inched closer to the rock where the cub was clinging for dear life. His experience as a former Navy SEAL came into play, helping him control his movements against the powerful current. Still, the situation was critical. On the shore, the mother bear alternated between growls and whimpers, as if urging Sean on. Her eyes remained locked on her cub, even as she staggered with pain from her injuries. When Sean finally reached the rock, he clung to it tightly and assessed the cub's position. The little bear was exhausted, barely able to keep its head above water. But just as Sean prepared to act, the unthinkable happened. The cub lost its grip and was swept away by the roaring current. Without hesitation, Sean let go of the rock and swam after the cub. The rope around his waist grew tighter with each passing second, digging into his skin, but Sean ignored the pain. His focus was entirely on reaching the cub before it disappeared beneath the surface. Time stretched endlessly as his strength waned. Then suddenly the cub's head reappeared above the water, and Sean grabbed it just in time. The cub was limp, its tiny body no longer fighting against the current. Sean felt the lifeless weight in his arms and knew he had to get it to shore immediately. With one arm holding the cub tightly, he used the other to pull himself along the rope, inching closer to safety. Every meter was an uphill battle, but Sean refused to give up. On the shore, the mother bear paced frantically, her eyes filled with a mixture of despair and hope. As Sean finally reached shallow water, his feet found solid ground. Summoning every last ounce of strength, he lifted the cub and dragged it to the riverbank. The mother bear rushed toward them, her movements surprisingly swift despite her injuries. Sean quickly untied the rope from the cub just as the bear reached them. In one fluid motion, the mother bear scooped up her cub and carried it a few meters away from the water. But then, something unexpected happened. The mother bear began to sway. A moment later, she collapsed, her body giving out completely. Sean realized with a sinking feeling that her injuries were more severe than they had first appeared. Time was now of the essence. Both the mother bear and her cub needed help, and Sean knew he couldn't turn away. Sean stood gasping at the riverbank as the motionless bear lay before him. The desperate cub nudged its mother, trying to wake her, but she didn't respond. With no phone signal and the realization that walking back to his truck would take too long, Sean felt utterly helpless. Suddenly, he heard the distant hum of an engine. He sprinted toward the sound, shouting at the top of his lungs. A team of forest rangers, alerted by hikers, appeared with a large transport crate. They immediately began tending to the bear's wounds, working to stop the blood loss. While Sean calmed the distressed cub, the rangers carefully loaded the injured mother bear into the crate, the cub never leaving her side. The rangers assured Sean that both would receive professional care at the nearest wildlife clinic. At the clinic, veterinarians fought to save the mother bear, whose injuries were more severe than they had initially thought, but the presence of her cub seemed to give her strength. Over time, both mother and cub recovered, and weeks later, the day came to release them back into the wild. Sean, invited by the rangers, was there for the momentous occasion. At the release site, mother and cub leapt out of the crate. The mother bear turned briefly to look back before disappearing into the forest. The cub hesitated for a moment, then followed her into freedom. Sean, filled with pride and a tinge of sadness, knew he would likely never see them again. The story spread far beyond Canada, showcasing the profound connection between humans and animals. Sean was celebrated as a hero, not only for saving the cub, but for giving an injured mother bear a second chance at life in the wild. The story of Sean and the bears is deeply moving, illustrating how courage and compassion can make a difference even in the most challenging circumstances. Sean risked his own life to save not just a cub, but its mother as well. Their return to the wild was a triumphant moment, celebrating the unbreakable bond between mother and child and the power of human empathy. Did this story inspire you? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more emotional and awe-inspiring stories. See you next time.